Hello, beautiful people. Oh, I'm getting a signal notification. God damn it. It's a bad one, too. Hello, beautiful people. Mic check, mic check. Otherwise, hopefully that resolves. Been sitting here with no problem, but that's, fine. Mic check, mic check. Otherwise, how y'all doing? Shout out to everybody who's watching. Hit the like button. Much appreciated. Share this live. We are back. Yes, as I said, we would be at 1 p.m. Eastern to find out if Diddy is going to be released today and what that means and what that entails. Is this the release until sentencing? Is sentencing about to happen? We don't know. Um, Last we discussed this, an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, uh, it was in the context of released until sentencing. But we don't know, and we'll see. Princey has literally just concluded his Zoomies. He's been, again, still adjusting to the fact that after 5 years of basically him being in this space and me occasionally being in this space, I am in this space. So, yeah. So, just waiting. I checked the docket directly on the electronic filing website, not on the secondary websites, to see if the letters from each side were submitted on the docket, and I didn't see anything. Literally checked again right before hitting live, so they must have just gone directly to Chambers, and they will be put on the docket at another time. The last live started in a frenzy because there wasn't even a, like, okay, the judge will, the jury will read the verdict in 15 minutes. It was like they sent a note, everybody came into the courtroom, and then immediately the jury so it was quick. So anyway, hi, how y'all doing this July 2nd? Shout out to everybody who's watching. Hit the like button, share this live. Shout out to the best mod squad on the internet. The Biscuit Head has already started. In the comment section, a longtime viewer was banned from the channel for talking crazy to a mod and me because they thought, now's the time to crack jokes. And some of you really hold back, your true selves. And then you get to a point where something happens out there in the world and you just can't resist. You just can't resist revealing that you're actually sexist, misogynistic, doo-doo head. But I believe people when people show me who they are, even if you've been holding that for a year, commenting, donating, subscribing. Yeah, yeah, no take backsies, no second chances. So a shout out to the mods. Anybody who tries to jump into the chat with the women were co-conspirators, or they made it up, or act like we didn't just get 7 weeks of evidence of this man being a horrible human being. Okay. Um, Airlock them immediately. Yeah. Yeah. And everybody else, don't give them any attention. So again, shout out to the best mod squad on the internet. Shout out to all the subscribers. Join us, and shout out to all the members, Patreon and YouTube, and the supporters on Substack too. Appreciate you. So this ain't the place for it. It's not the place for your rhetorical questions. It's not the place for you thinking that, it's time to be cute or have a smart mouth. Okay? I know black don't crack, but I'm old. I got grown children and I can sniff it out immediately. And there's no patience or space for it here. Well, start your own channel. Matter of fact, there is a red pill nigga live right now. Go there, commune with your people. They're waiting for you, but you're not welcome here. I wasn't referring to you. Okay? This is a general announcement because people are, and I could tell that you did. That's why you're still here, and that's why I answered it. But people are, again, immediately, as if this verdict is a permission slip for them to be sexist, misogynistic doo-doo heads. And if that's how you receive it, again, there's somebody live right now waiting for you. Go over there. But here, the only thing that you prove is women are wise to continue to reject you. Because obviously they clearly have been. Women have wronged you. Women have wronged you. And now you feel validated and justified. Yeah. Yawn. Here's a biscuit head ass right here. Yeah. This is exactly what I'm talking about. A willfully ignorant dumbass.
Mr. Scott, open the door. Mr. Scott, now. Mr. Scott, open the door. Mr. Scott, now.
Take your kind with you. Why did women choose the bear? Here's the thing that's crazy. I have not, since this live started, said anything about my opinion of the verdict. I haven't said anything in this live about the prospect of him being released today. I did in the last live. What did I say? What have I been saying from day one? Everybody is entitled to bail. You don't have the foggiest idea the work that has been done to assure that. But for people to pop up in this live chat and have the nerve to fix your fingers to try and talk shit to me, you don't watch this channel and you don't actually listen to or comprehend the words that come out of my mouth. You don't have any appreciation for intelligence. And you don't have any appreciation or respect for facts. You are what is literally wrong with this country. And you are not welcome here. All the termites are coming out. Yeah, well, go chew on your own wood. That's the whole issue here. I'm not gonna. No, no. No titties for you. That's been established in your life. Clearly. You certainly ain't getting them here, child. We're all still waiting, just so you know. I apologize if you're having signal issues. I'm not going to do anything about it yet because it doesn't seem to have completely tanked out. So hopefully you're receiving well. And I'm not just like giving a read and it's like, So, if you're just waking up and you have no idea what has been going on in the world this morning, very early this morning, I think it was my time, 7:15, 7:20, the jury came back with a verdict. They convicted Diddy of 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution, and he was found not guilty, which is not the same as innocent. And that's not shade, it's a fact. Actual innocence is a legal declaration. That does not apply in this situation. He was found not guilty of RICO and trafficking. There's a whole circus outside the courtroom. There are people fighting. There are people who are apparently spraying spectators with baby oil. Which, if I'm just walking down the street trying to get to where I'm going and I get sprayed with baby oil, you gonna hit the ground. I'ma sweep your feet. It's New York. I'ma sweep your feet. Who's gonna know? In a crowd, who's gonna know? You just gonna be on the ground. Aw. Broken spray bottle of baby oil next to you because I'm immediately accidentally, oh, look at that. Look who's back there. He's upset because he can't get to the window that he's looking at, and he's trying to figure out where do I have to position my body to be able to jump up to this window? There's something in the way. I haven't moved it. But he's zoomied for a while, so he's too tired to get mad and zoomy again. I'm gonna just, toot my own horn on this Kiwi's reaction. Thank you very much. And the thing is, Ab says you're safe. Your channel is a safe space. Yes, it is. For all. Yes, it is. Because you always keep it facts and what is on the docket. Yeah, I don't give a good goddamn what such and such said. I literally wrote that in the second book. I don't give a good goddamn what such and such said. I care what's on the docket. Yet people want to be disrespectful again, and it's not about me. It's about who they actually really are. You go and be that person. I don't have to invite you into my space for no reason whatsoever. Muddy Huddy kicking off our little mini goal we got going on. Might as well. You all started to get into a bidding war over pages. I was like, well, let's see if we pick that energy back up. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate you. Assault with baby oil, right? Marshall Irons, exactly. Oh shit, did you slip? That would be my whole thing. I'm not gonna help you up. I gotta get somewhere. And as I walk over you, I'm gonna stomp on that bottle of baby oil. What the fuck is the matter with you? I'm not going to jail over this shit. Ain't nobody got time for that, dog. You out here being pathetic. I have a job to go do. Nah. It reminds me of Sebastian Maniscalco's stand-up comedy about the Free Britney protesters. That dude's hilarious. So if you're just joining and you're like, oh, they're just chit-chatting, I want to know. Don't nobody know. We're all waiting. Okay. We are all waiting right now to find out what is going to happen with whether or not Diddy is going to be released. I have all the things up. I'm just not showing them to you because it's distracting when it's on the screen. But I have all the things up with all the live as it happens. So yeah, I mean, I think everybody should really, going back to what I was saying in the live earlier this morning about everybody has a right, to bail. Everybody has a right to argue for bail. Let's just say that. Not everybody has a right to be given bail, but you should have the right to go through the process, and plead your case. And there are untold, okay, the number of reasons as to why is many. But one of them is the conditions of the place that you're being held. And Diddy is being held in a notoriously horrible, horrible place. And I want you to stop before you say anything and challenge your own hypocrisy if it exists. Okay? If you are up in arms about the conditions in which people are being snatched off the streets in America and put in abhorrent detention centers, abhorrent. We hold people in prisons like that every single day, and jails like that every single day in your backyard. So conditions do matter. So you should all just brace yourselves, okay? That Diddy is probably going to get bonded out today. And he's probably going to have all manner of restriction applied. When several months ago, they were trying to get, bail/bond, whichever the technical is. They were accepting of electronic home monitoring. They were accepting, proposing, security that reports to, I can't remember exactly what the acronym is for Fed. For lack of a better, for my inability to remember the correct term, the Department of Corrections. But it's not that, it's something else. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it is. I'm tired. Um, drug testing, regular check-ins, $50 million in assets and cash, passports of him and several others surrendered, on and on and on and on and on. So I expect that he is going to leave jail today. I don't expect that he is going to gavel out the front door. He still has to be processed out, number one. So he's not walking out the front door of the courtroom, arms raised in victory. That would be extraordinary. He's in the system for being in jail. So he has to go back to jail to get processed out. That's number one. And then number two, given that this judge did previously deny him release and ruled that he was a danger to people and a flight risk. Remember, illegal guns, all these things still stand on the court record and in the judge's memory as considerations. He was evaluated, third party, and they said every time, no. That there were times where they were in court and just the judge would look over and they'd stand up and go, no, he is a danger. He cannot go. So all of these things are going to weigh on the strongest conditions the judge can apply. He could say, I'll take $100 million bond. I'll take 75 million. You're going to have to do more than 50. We just don't know. Okay. We wait. We listen and we don't judge. We just wait to see what is going to happen. But that's what you should brace yourselves for. You should brace yourself under stringent conditions. He's probably going to be released on bond. Because this case does not involve mandatory minimums, sentencing is not immediate. And so release on bond is not his release terms for this case. This is release pending being sentenced, which typically, I don't know what the guidelines are here, but it's usually 2 weeks to 30 days out because there's a bunch of stuff that has to happen procedurally and that Diddy has to go through before sentencing. Both sides make their recommendations, blah, 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 blah. Again, an independent, independent meaning not related to the prosecution or the defense, does a evaluation of many factors and makes their recommendation to the court, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah. No. Divine Black Rose, do you believe another indictment could potentially happen for the things found in the raids on his home? Thank you for your question. No. Um, what would be interesting to see is Florida isn't going to do anything. They're not going to charge him with anything based on what was found in his home. Okay, because theoretically, he can't be charged with the same thing at the state level that he was at the federal level. He would be able to argue double jeopardy there, even though it's state versus federal. Theoretically, a state could take over an investigation of any alleged crime within its jurisdiction, no matter how that crime was discovered. So let's say the guns, right? Depending on what the statute of limitations is, the state he's in, and many other things, theoretically, a state could say, we take issue with this and we're investigating or whatever. Theoretically, that could happen. And if it was going to happen for anything, it would be for the guns and the ammo. And they should have charged him with that because he would have been found guilty and he would have done mandatory minimums for those guns. That was dumb. That's a slam dunk charge. Illegal guns with the serial numbers filed off and illegal ammunition and clips. That was a slam dunk. And they can bring up whatever they want to bring up, but that's not going to weigh. That's not going to tip the scale. D-Lo Design asks, are prosecutors allowed to bring up his civil cases as a reason to keep him, or only what was accused in this trial? They've brought that up before as a reason to keep him. At this stage, though, it's not going to tip the scale in anything. There's other things. The judge's knowledge of the guns tips the scale more than lawsuits against him, civil lawsuits. So that means nothing. It's not going to tip the scale for anything. They were in his room. D-Lo Design. They couldn't prove it was his and not his security. They were in his room. Your house, your room. He can't go after them, really. You're protected as a witness unless you perjured yourself. And that's what he would have to prove. He would have to prove that somebody perjured themselves. So if he feels like he has evidence that somebody perjured themselves, then it would amount to, civilly, it would amount to defamation, and he could, in theory, sue them for that. Gina A., I feel bad for the people who testified against him. Will he go after them? So he can't, he can't, be like, they lied, charge them with a crime. He tried getting his case dismissed a couple times by saying there were people that were lying on the stand. The prosecution is the one who's going to care if somebody perjured themselves, and they will prosecute somebody for perjuring themselves. He would have to convince them to do that, and they're not going to do that. So his only recourse would be okay. So it's been 30 minutes since the judge received the letters. And the judge is deliberating. Again, the judge has a lot to review because even though we don't have the letter, I'm quite certain that one of the things, and I said this in the earlier live, I'm quite certain that one of the things that the prosecution cited was the judge. Because again, 3 times Diddy went for release. 2 were under another judge, but one of them was under this judge. And that was at the point where he was offering fucking everything to get out, and he said no. So he's going back to the very beginning of this case, and he's going through probably some of his notes that he has accumulated. He's thinking about and considering a lot of things to determine, you know, what he's gonna do and how he's gonna do it. I wasn't talking about him going after okay, how'd I get it wrong? Tell me. I don't know, like 7 months, I think? Somewhere between 7 and 9 months? Oh, huh! I'm so locked into the technical. Gina, like, I wasn't talking about legally. I'm talking about, is he gonna firebomb their car? Fair, it's a fair question. My bad. Thank you, Dealer Design. 10 months. No, I immediately started doing other things when I ended the last live. I didn't look into that. Purple Haze. I love that. He's dealt with more stressful shit. This is light work for the judge. He's got the fortitude for it. He's totally fine. The judge will also be, so this is great. I'm glad that you said this. Delo Design. I think he's, meaning Diddy, is the type to leak stuff on people that he may still have. I mean, maybe he doesn't have anything because they took everything. But my understanding is this is a consideration of temporary, potentially temporary release pending sentencing. So the other thing that the judge could impose during this time is a gag order. He could do that until sentencing has concluded as a condition of release. He could do that. He could do it, period. He could do it, period. Because Diddy's definitely gonna talk to somebody. And I'm sure he wants to do it right now. Because he's up in the adrenaline of, oh my God, I'm not gonna do life in prison, as anybody would be. Mrs. C60, thank you, beautiful. T. Smith 30, please impose a gag order. That would be a mercy on everybody. It would be a mercy on everybody. If the judge said, as a condition of your release, you will not be speaking publicly or issuing, you just won't. So. Oh, Jesus Christ. Kiki is just so merciless. Kiki will not let us rest in our delusion of, please, sir, may we have a gag order? Kiki just goes straight for the jugular and then twists the knife. Kiki, if he gets released, can't wait to see him on the Breakfast Club next week. Oh, 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 that's so painful. No. No. Only people material to the case. No. Kay Harris, I wonder how long it'll be until the gospel album and the name change. Andrea speaks, he's about to make some money back from selling his whole story to any and everyone. And so, beloved, you know what that brings up for me? What happens to 50 Cent's docuseries that was sold to Netflix? What happens to it? What happens? What happens? What? Oh. Okay, good. Oof. All right. I don't like none of them. So the fact that 50 Cent is probably screwed in some way financially over this entire situation, I'll take it. I'll take it. The $50 documentary. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tiffany Shantae Kay was just thinking about that. Doreen Oladibe? Doreen Oladibe? I noticed a lot of celebrities secretly wanted him to be freed. And I said this yesterday. I said it this morning. I'm saying it again. Now that these are the only convictions, there are a lot of people that are going to act like what all the other things that happened didn't really happen. We're going to see famous and influential names submit letters to the court on Diddy's behalf as for consideration in sentencing. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think that judge gives a shit about any of that. He'll read it. But this case is too serious. And again, just because Diddy wasn't convicted of things doesn't mean that the judge has to wipe his memory of certain facts that he knows to be true that occurred during the course of this trial. And that's not bias. So, we wait. Oh my God, Kiki. Kiki said, well, maybe he can be in the $50 documentary series. That's brutal. That's brutal. But if you think, there are some things that will never be, Diddy and baby oil, you'll never think of baby oil the same. Yes, we're still waiting. We are still waiting. Hello to everybody. See the little ticker down at the bottom. We're waiting for the release decision. And that's just what we're doing. CJ Champer, hopefully it goes the way of the dodo bird. Well, that's just sad. That's just sad for the dodo. But yeah, hopefully we never see. I don't think we will. I don't think we will. 50 Cent would have to literally start his own network. And them reshoots gonna be crazy. This is what I'm saying, Fateless. 50 pence is MAGA. His loss are my wins in some form. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. Aww. Aww. You put all that into it. All that into it. And now? Yeah. Yeah. Quite honestly, I think that the even before this verdict, I think one of the reasons why we didn't see this series, which allegedly was sold a while ago, is because number one, Netflix was like, "Oh, well, this is a hot potato. We're not afraid of hot potatoes, but it is a hot potato." Which means we have to be prepared to drop it at any point in time. We have to be prepared to drop it at any point in time. And let's just, and they don't need it, right? Netflix doesn't need it per se. So they can say, well, let's just wait a minute and see how this goes. And then a Canadian filed a lawsuit over a diss track. And I honestly think for corporations to see that happen, number one. Number two, to see the culture be a part of it, respond to it, like We're a fourth pillar of this situation. I think that chilled these, you know, anti-black corporations from just putting out whatever about black people straight up. I think they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Sue for publishing. And Netflix has been sued plenty of times, but this is different. It's different. Yeah, he sure did. Diddy has already sued over a documentary for defamation, 500 million, I do believe. Yes. NBC and a bunch of other. Oh yeah. He's filed a couple lawsuits. He's gonna come out swinging. For sure. And they're gonna settle that particular lawsuit. I know, and there's an insurance company agent today who's like, oh fuck. Oh fuck. How much money are we gonna have to give this man? How much money are we gonna have to give this man? Tommy Ramone, I'm screaming. I wish the judge could condition the pre-sentencing release on Diddy, letting Janelle Monáe out of her contract. I'm so dead. I'm so dead. Oh my God, D-Lo Design. You know his son is about to release another diss track tonight. He might as well be a YouTube rapper. Like that one hoe cake. Their head's about the same size. They can share hats. I said what I said. Feeling spicy today. Lucky Lawrence, hello, beautiful. Thank you for your comment. 50 Cent could spin the next season of Power with Ghost's son into an inspired by the series. True. He has other means to be able to troll this dude forever. Except for music. He's not really good at that. I said what I said. But yes, you're right. He could. Because that series, they just, when it dies, automatically it's 50 Cent's Horcrux is the power thing. It's 50 Cent Horcrux because where one dies, another just sprouts up. It's really creepy. Dislike. We're still waiting. If you're wondering where Diddy is, he is in court waiting for the judge with his family. The chatter. I hope they keep finding evidence and dragging his abusive ass back to court his entire life. This shit is infuriating. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. I don't think the feds will prosecute Diddy for anything ever again. I think that if he does something, it will be up to, as I said earlier, the state where he is. And Florida ain't ever going to do nothing. They just built a detention center in the middle of the Everglades. And no, I'm not going to call it that name because that cheapens what it is. It's an inhumane detention facility in the middle of the Everglades. New York would, but I don't think the guns were found in New York. I could be wrong. I don't really care at this point in time. I'm not gonna go digging for it. Che, this is a sentiment I agree with. I need these documentary filmmakers to stop immediately trying to cash in and just wait a little bit before making something. It's a double-edged sword. I'll say that. It's a double-edged sword. I think that while cases are outstanding, and I mean cases where you have a suspect who's been charged and you're, going through that process, there shouldn't be documentaries. Like with the Brian Koberger situation, um, the Idaho college student murders. There's already a documentary series about that, and he hadn't even gone to trial yet. And I didn't like that. I don't think that's appropriate. I really don't think that's appropriate. I think that, for me and what we do here, we just follow things as they go and as they happen. And we don't try and craft a very specific narrative, which is what a lot of these channels do. If I have a theory and it's wrong, I just say that. Well, that's not what happened. Here's what actually happened, and then we deal with what actually happened. That's real life. Not being able to craft and curve a narrative and leave things out at your convenience and just insist that your opinion weighs more than the empirical evidence of what is actually fucking happening in front of everybody's face. That's infuriating. And it's also completely unnecessary. Um, Speaking of Brian Koberger, I just got a breaking news alert. Told the judge he's guilty. He killed those people. Prosecutors' letter detailing why they opposed the release of Combs while he awaits sentencing includes a note from Deontay Nash, a stylist and friend of Cassie who testified during the trial. In his letter, Nash addressed the judge. Now, this is a letter given to the judge by the prosecution, so they sought it. In his letter, Nash addressed the judge and expressed grave concern about Combs' potential release. While I appreciate the fairness you have shown throughout this proceeding, I feel compelled to be unequivocal about the danger he poses to the public and to the individuals who have risked everything by coming forward, Nash wrote. He continued, Mr. Combs has a long, well-documented history of violent, coercive, and retaliatory behavior. Over the years, he has repeatedly escaped meaningful accountability, and each time this has only reinforced his sense of impunity. If he is released now, I have no doubt he will see it as yet another license to continue intimidating, threatening, and harming people who challenge or expose him. See if anything has come up onto the docket. Otherwise, they're getting this. Oh. Okay, here we go. I do have the letters now. Well, I mean, I gotta pay for them, but hold on. Download. Okay. The letter from Sean Combs' attorneys is 4.5 pages. Page of signatures. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4.5. Half a page of signatures and then another page of signatures. So, Mr. Combs, hold on. Let me get myself together here. No, I can't do that. I can't do that because I need to keep the, I need to be able to see the live update. Sorry, hold on. Let me check I just want to check. I'm refreshing all of my live updates, even though they pop up on their own. I'm just going to refresh them all just to make sure that they don't have anything before I turn my attention to this letter. And I'm not going to put it on the screen again because then that will block my ability to see the pop-ups of the live updates, waiting to find out if he is being bonded out today or not. Okay, so Diddy's lawyers, Mr. Combs moves for release on appropriate conditions pursuant to law pending his sentencing proceeding. Given the jury's clear verdict acquitting Mr. Combs of the RICO conspiracy and sex trafficking counts, continued detention of Mr. Combs is inappropriate. As these proceedings have demonstrated, and as we told the court from the outset of this case, Mr. Combs came to New York to surrender in order to defend against the government's charges because he was committed to showing his innocence. Since his arrest and detention on September 17, 2024, Mr. Combs has obeyed the court, respected the proceedings, and modeled and demonstrated model behavior at the MDC. Definitely not true. Definitely not true. Okay, we're not going to get a decision. We are going to have 3 lives today. Okay? We're going to have 3 lives today because the judge is not making a decision right now. The judge is going to make a decision at 5 p.m. Eastern. So, in here, in this letter, and then we'll look at what the prosecution says about keeping him in jail. Okay, so now that we have that update, actually, I can put this on this screen. So we'll go through these letters, and then we're going to be done until 5 p.m. Eastern. I will be back for that, but we're going to look at these letters right quick and see what the defense says about releasing him and what the prosecution says about keeping him detained. Yeah. Y'all hit them super chats. God, it's a day. Horror niche. See you then, beautiful. Okay. So his sentencing exposure is substantially lower than when the government initially sought detention. The court should release Mr. Combs on the proposed conditions, and we're just going to get to that. They cite a bunch of applicable law. address whether or not he is technically legally a flight risk. They address dangerousness. These are all of the components. This is like deja vu because this takes us back like 10 months. So they address flight risk. They address dangerousness. Mr. Combs presents no risk of flight or danger, and the release conditions proposed herein are more than sufficient to assure Mr. Combs' appearance as required and the safety of any person. During the initial bail proceedings, the government argued Mr. Combs was a flight risk because he was charged with serious offenses carrying significant, in some cases, mandatory terms of imprisonment. The circumstances are now the opposite. The base offense level for violation of the Mann Act is 14. I don't know technically what that means. Because there are 2 counts of conviction related to 2 separate victims, another section of law instructs that the counts are grouped separately because the offense level of each group is 14 and an additional 2 levels are added, resulting in a total offense level of 16. Mr. Combs is in criminal history category I. This results in an expected sentencing guidelines range of 21 to 27 months. Mr. Combs has already been incarcerated for 10 months. His sentencing exposure, which we fully respect and do not seek to minimize in any way, is in fact low, and so is any corresponding risk of flight. That is a bold statement, and let's be clear about what he says, okay? They've done the math on the federal guidelines for sentencing, okay? And evaluated what his offense level in and the category that puts him in and how that relates to the federal guidelines for sentencing. And according to the defense, this puts him in an expected guideline range of 21 to 27 months. That's significant to know, but what is more significant is they say his sentencing exposure, which we fully respect and do not seek to minimize in any way, suggests that they're like, we don't give a fuck what you sentence him to at this point. We're fine with it. We'll take 27 months minus 10. Okay. In prison and not that jail? Okay. 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 So this just goes back through the history of him before he was arrested and his efforts to try and get bail. They say that any suggestion by the government that Mr. Combs could still be a danger in the sense that he still has the means and ability to commit crimes is unsupported. Here is what they propose. 1 million bond. Remember when it was 50? Remember when it was $50 million? $1 million bond, co-signed by Sean Combs, his mother, his sister, and the mother of his oldest daughter. Mr. Combs' travel will be restricted to the Southern District of Florida, Central District of California, and the Southern District of New York to attend court and meet with his counsel, as well as the Eastern District of New York or the District of New Jersey, only to the extent that his travel to and from New York involves an airport in those districts. Mr. Combs' passport surrendered to pretrial services. That's that independent body that I was talking about that will make a recommendation to the judge. So if you're wondering, like, why isn't the judge making a decision right now? First of all, the judge needs to think about it. Second of all, the judge needs to write a bunch of shit. Third of all, pretrial services is probably also writing something right now. And they don't exist to bend to the women will of Sean Diddy Combs. They all have caseloads and shit to deal with every day, just like a normal day at work. Now they got to write this shit for the judge. So that could be a factor in why it's not happening right away. So passport surrender to pretrial services, drug testing as ordered by pretrial services, all other standard conditions of pretrial supervision. They did not put electronic monitoring in here. So that's one of the things that they have taken out. So that is their proposal, okay? And let me go back and get what the government wants. Wait, did I download that? Let me make sure because I paid for it. Yep, I did. Okay, good. I'm so hungry right now. I need to download that because I have an attachment. What is that? Okay, they submitted 2 separate guidelines. They put Diddy at a different level. That's the first thing that I noticed. They put him at a level 19. So let me get these 2 documents. And just let me do a little bit of perusing here so I can figure out what I need to which one of theirs that I need to start with. The government has put 2 documents on the docket. What is the difference? I can't see a material difference in these 2 documents, which is bizarre, but okay. Weird. All right, sorry about that. So Diddy's lawyers did some guideline calculations for sentencing. They came up with, some numbers and a category that is different than what the government has here. So it's a guidelines calculation, but let's start at the beginning. The government respectfully submits this letter following the jury trial of the defendant, Sean Combs. Following a 7-week jury trial, the defendant was found guilty of 2 counts of interstate transportation for the purposes of prostitution in violation of etc. The defendant has moved for bail pending sentencing under the Bail Reform Act. However, because detention is mandatory under the Bail Reform Act, he is not entitled to release and his detention must be continued. Okay, they go through background, which I'm not much more interested in. They bring up the guns and the drugs that were found, in search warrants and at the time of his arrest. And then they get into their guidelines calculation. Again, I could see off top, the defense started with a base level of 14, prosecution starts with a base offense level of 14, and then they diverge from there. They argue that with additional analysis, his level is 19. I think the defense said 16. And then they say there are 3 enhancements. Oh, they're stacking shit up. His obstruction during the trial. Ultimately, this is gonna be for the judge to decide. For whatever these numbers mean, the only thing that matters is that they vary extremely from each other, okay? The defense put Diddy at an overall, total offense level of 16, and then that equates to what the sentencing guidelines are. According to the government, it's actually 24, and therefore, his range is 51 to 63 months imprisonment. Ultimately, this is gonna be something that the judge will decide. Um The government says there may be additional potential enhancements to what they want in sentencing. Applicable law addresses the Bail Reform Act, analyzes whether or not he's even their argument is that under the Bail Reform Act, Diddy is not eligible for bail. I can tell you that without getting on into all of this. They maintain that he is still a flight risk. And that he is still a danger to the community. So that's what they're going with. They're going with, and this is yeah, they're going with the offenses that he was convicted of mean that he is not eligible for bail under the Bail Reform Act and therefore should not be released pending sentencing, and that they will be seeking confinement at sentencing of at least 51 months. So I just basically went through it without getting into there's a lot of weeds there, but they have enhancements that they argue make it higher. They have a number of enhancements that they argue make it higher, and circumstantial things related to the evidence, and the nuances of the charges he was actually convicted of. So they do stay rooted in that. So, but this huge difference between, is he a level 16? Is he a level 24? That will be a matter of law for the judge to determine, and something that they argue about. And that's just part of the process when you're dealing with a sentencing that is not a mandatory minimum. And this is why it's not immediate, because they're going to be hammering this out for the next 2 to 4 weeks, until they actually, till the judge determines the baseline, until the judge hears thoroughly from pretrial services, which handles all detention related matters, and again comes to their own determination of what they think in terms of releasing somebody and what those conditions could be. Um, and we don't know, we're not going to see, trying to remember. We're not going to see the pretrial recommendation on the docket. That's an internal routing process, but we will, if the judge has, contacted them and said, "I need a recommendation from you today by this time to make this decision," then we'll hear it alluded to, when we reconvene. When we reconvene at 5 Eastern. We don't know. Okay, we don't know. This is the um defense is arguing, basically, it's time for bail. Judge, it's up to your discretion. Here are our conditions. And the prosecution is arguing as a matter of law. And we've talked about a matter of law. That's what they're arguing. As a matter of law, under the Bail Reform Act, these convictions are not eligible for bail or bond. So it's a moot point. And they argue that fairly, plus a bunch of other things. Now, if the judge disagrees and says Diddy is eligible for bail, they did not put any bail conditions in their letter. The defense did. In court, the judge will say, "Confer right now on your bail conditions," or he'll impose his own, or he'll go with Diddy's recommendation. But very unlikely that he just says to the government, "Snooze, you lose," hits the gavel and says, "Diddy, you can go." He's gonna say, "The court has ruled that as a matter of law, he is entitled to bail. What does the government propose those conditions be?" And they will have an answer. But they didn't put it in that letter because they don't wanna bring it up. They are putting all their chips on matter of law. He doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, enhancements, I mean, all states have them, but New York definitely has them. Chicago definitely has them, you know what I mean? Like, enhancements and guns? Yeah, so they got a lot in there. And we'll talk about it again. I'll have some time to read it and see if there's any other significant highlights, that I wanna draw out of the letters, but the reason why I didn't just go through and read them, word for word, is because they're case law dense, and we'd be here for 2 hours just reading these letters, and we don't need to do that. You've got a good sense of what the defense says and what the prosecution says. Like I said, I'll look them over, before 2 my time. I'm just trying to keep my brain my brain and my times right, and we'll talk about it again. All right, y'all. So when I'm gonna leave here, I'm gonna put up, a placeholder for a live today, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 5 p.m. Eastern. I don't know where we are in the savings or the not savings of daylight, which is nonsense. But 5 p.m. Eastern is when there will be, and I don't think it said. Let me look. I don't think it said decision. I think it said hearing. So this is going to be all parties in the room going through, a bail hearing, and he'll have read their things and have clarifying questions or argue their stuff, and he'll make his decision, I would imagine, in 30 minutes or less. He's pretty timely as well. So I expect this is going to start on time. So I will plan to pop on about 10 minutes before, get the live started. I'll post the link everywhere, of course, but just know that, yep, I'll be back here, 5 p.m. Eastern. Maybe we'll actually get to an LBG. We haven't gotten there yet. This is our second live. We haven't gotten to an LBG. Nope, I'm withholding it. I'm withholding it. Yep, we're not doing it now. Thank you all for tapping in throughout the day today, and I will see you again soon. All right, take care. Don't engage with the biscuit heads. All right, all right. See you soon. Peace.